1340, 96.5 KVGC. On the phone with me this morning, David Cohen of Everything Old is New Again. Each week, David and Douglas Viviani examine our pop culture, where it came from, why it's still popular. They anchor our weekend evenings at 6 o'clock, both Saturday and Sunday, with the show Everything Old is New Again. The number one show in the 6 o'clock time slot on Saturday and Sundays here at KVGC. What do you think about that, David?
Oh, Jim, first of all, we are so proud to hear that, and we work so hard on the show to achieve the success we've had. And before we continue, I just want to make sure I'm thanking His Lordship for allowing me to come on the air and speak with you personally. It's quite an honor.
See, we've been doing this now, I think, Douglas and I, on Saturday mornings for about, at least 3 years, if not 4 years. Could be maybe even 5 years. And I always say, is David available? No, David is on assignment, or David is too busy. He always makes an excuse why you can't come to the phone and talk. So I don't.
That's so interesting, because he gives me a completely different story. He always says to me, and I refer to him as the Lordship because that's how he likes to be referred to. He always says to me that, oh, Jim is busy, he has other guests, he'd love to have you on, but he just can't squeeze you in. Jim, that's typical, and I'm glad I have this forum, because I know he's been on the show every week for 4 or 5 years or so, but I'd like to share my side of the story, what really goes on behind the scenes at Everything Old is New Again. I just think it's time for some of the truth to come out.
Is this like a tell-all book of Everything Old is New Again?
You could see it that way, yes. Look, this is between you and me. I'm sure you don't have a lot of listeners, so we're going to keep this on the QT for the most part, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so...
let me just ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let's just start.
Sure.
Let me just ask you a question here, because so when Douglas, when we first met and we talked, he kind of gave me a biography of himself, and he was student body president of your high school. He was homecoming king. He was the quarterback of the football team that won the state championship. He, talks about all the hot cars he had in high school. And girls, it was like a revolving door, vroom, vroom. And he kind of, he took you under his wing and kind of brought you along with him, allowed you to be not even his wingman, kind of his tail man. Is that all true?
It's completely true, Jim. And I think he's probably he's downplaying his role at the school. I think he's being modest, and I'm thankful that he's allowed me to kind of trail along with him over the years. That's just a small part of the worship, I guess is a good word to describe it, that he engendered at high school and beyond.
Well,
but I have to tell you, I think a lot of the success of Everything Old is New Again, this super incredible success that the show has experienced, I think for the first time, Jim, I think it's kind of gone to its head. I really do.
Really? Really?
Do you know how Howard Stern, he used to refer to himself as king of all media?
Right.
Well, Doug goes around referring to himself as, king of 27 small to mid-sized independently owned rural-based radio stations. And that's how he likes to be referred. So it's just really gotten to his head.
Do you have to go into a room when you two go on like a press junket or to these famous parties? Here we have Hollywood parties. I guess you have Manhattan parties in the East. I don't know what you have there in the East Coast, but when you go to famous parties, does he make you walk into the room first and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the king of 28 small to medium market radio stations, Douglas Viviani," and then he comes in?
If he allows me to go with him, yes.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes he just makes me wait in the men's room.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, he
Well,
talks.
because when he uses the men's room, he likes to have someone to put the soap on his hands, and if there's no men's room attendant, that's usually my assignment.
Do you have to hand him the tissues to wipe his hands with and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So Douglas has said that you were the first person though he thought of to be his. Well, I can't say partner. I guess now. I mean, you would be his sidekick. Are you his sidekick?
Yeah, he calls me the co-host, Jim, but that's a misnomer.
Okay.
Yeah, at best I'm a sidekick.
But
I'm sort of like his Ed McMahon.
Yes,
except,
yes.
Without a lot of Ed's charm.
But he said you were the first person that he called upon. I mean, he first person he thought of. But maybe it's the first person that would. Well,
I think it was the first person that actually said yes to him. So in his mind, that's the first person he asked, I guess.
Right. And that's after his family had actually turned him down too. How does he get? How does he get someone like his? I mean, how does he get somebody like his brother? I mean, his brother is a renowned oral surgeon or dentist. How does he get him to come on the show? Does he pay him, or does he? I mean, let him give.
His brother, like a lot of Doug's followers, are very lonely people, Jim, and would basically, would do anything. They're socially inept and would do anything just to be in Doug's presence. I'm sorry, I referred to him by the first name. Oh gosh, I hope this doesn't get back to him.
I'll go ahead and edit that part out before he wanted me to record this interview, so this interview is being recorded. So be careful what you say. I will go back and edit this section out so he doesn't hear this part. So
thank you. Well, I started to get really nervous there.
That's all right. So
because I think my job is in jeopardy anyway, and this could put it over the edge.
Well, I know that it seems he's been giving Angelica and Leo more airtime, and so I think maybe he's going to bring it all in house and let the kids do it. Do you fear that, or do you just him doing it?
I fear that very much, Jim. I think his affiliation with you. I think he might have you on his short list as well. It could be any of the three of you, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, so on a serious note, David, a few years back, we did a little trivia challenge, and I continued to tell Douglas about this. It wasn't fair because you can't ask a 63-year-old guy what's the theme song to Firefly. I don't know, or the Flash. But I would like to go do another trivia contest maybe with you, and we'll do maybe 70s stuff, maybe early 80s stuff. Would you be up for a challenge of that?
Oh, I certainly would. I think you deserve the rematch. I think you really did well, and I think I just got a little lucky, and of course I would welcome a rematch anytime, Jim.
Did Douglas want you to win so bad that he actually gave you the answers? Because that's the way I felt.
No, he did not.
Okay.
He did not. He didn't know a lot of the answers himself, so he assumed that I was correct. So maybe that's a little cheating. I'm not sure, but I don't know.
We're talking with David Cohen today. Douglas is off. Where did Douglas go? Did he go somewhere for Easter, or did he just decide it was time for you to?
I don't know a lot about his personal life because he and I just, we're not really friends off the air. Mm-hmm. So, he just goes and does his thing. I do my thing. I don't really keep tabs on it.
Did you even know him in high school, or did you just? I mean, did you?
Well, he used to bully me. That's how our relationship started. Mm-hmm. And after a few bullying sessions, we became real close. And he refers to me as Dave, even though actually my real name is Steve. But I've just let him use that since we met.
Would you like me to call you Steve, or can I call you David?
Well, if he's listening to this, no, just call me Dave.
Okay. I do notice one thing about him. I said, hey, do people call you Doug, or nope, they call me Douglas. Okay.
Yeah, he's very insistent on that, isn't he?
People don't call me James; they call me Jim. But okay, if you want to be Douglas, you be Douglas. That's fine with me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking.
Like I said, I think a lot of the success of the show has really gone to his head.
You think so, for sure?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Jim, but not only does Everything Old is New Again reach over 27 stations across the country, but we did a study recently, and we have over 15 listeners. So that's pretty heady stuff right there.
You have 15 listeners spread out through those 27 stations? That is amazing. Those are some good numbers.
Yeah, well,
numbers.
we say 27. It's usually it's really 26 and a half, because apparently one of the stations is so small that the only way you can get reception in your car is if you accidentally turn into this abandoned Chili's parking lot.
Okay.
So, it's technically 26 and a half, but yes, over that, there are 15 total listeners, which is about a 10% increase over last year. So we're just, we're growing by leaps and bounds, Jim. It's great.
You guys have you been at this for 5 years, I think? Is it 5 years?
Yeah, it seems longer, but yeah, 5, I think.
Well, to you, it would seem longer, probably. I know sometimes when I sit and listen to the show, it's like, Jesus, how long is this show, 3 hours?
Well, yeah, we took a poll of the 15 listeners, and most of them said their first reaction is exactly that, Jesus. Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
We're talking with David Cohen, co-host with Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Hey, who are your favorite guests, David? You've had a lot of them on there. Who your favorite guest? Can you name maybe top 3, top 2, top 1?
I would say I could give you my favorite guest, and I'm going to tell you my least favorite guest also. But my favorite guest, first of all, was the Alan Alda impersonator. That was great. He was amazing.
Got it.
And then we also had, who was the other impersonator that called? I forget. Another quote-unquote celebrity who called in.
Peter Weller?
Yes, right, RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who impersonates him. So those were my 2, I think, favorites of all time.
All right. And then characters that, okay, now worst. You said you're going to give me your worst. Who was your worst favorite?
Well, this gets a little dark, but we were talking about the upcoming show with Gianni Russo, who played Carlo in The Godfather.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember The Godfather, Jim. It was a big gangster movie.
It came out, I think, was I in high school? I might have been, 72, I think it came out. Is that the one with,
you might have been too old to remember that. But, so Gianni Russo is, he's a mobster. He's literally belonging to the mafia. And, I don't know. Sometimes I think, it's hard, Jim. You've probably done this in your career. It's hard to fire somebody who's not doing a good job. So, the first sign was I asked Doug, why are we interviewing this guy? Like, why is he on the show? Mm-hmm. And Doug just looked at me, like for the first time ever, he got this very serious look on his face, and he said, "You don't need to worry yourself about that." So it was a little startling. So what I'm thinking, and I could be off base, is that in exchange for Johnny coming on and talking about his book, that Doug agreed to take out a contract on my life.
No, come on.
But wouldn't that be easier, Jim? Wouldn't it just be easier to just do that without having to fire me? So he's my least favorite. In answer to your question, he is my least favorite guy.
I am speechless. I'm learning things about Douglas that I didn't know.
He's ruthless.
Well, he is an attorney.
Yeah, he's an attorney.
Did you see the silence there? See the silence when I said that? Everybody went quiet. Yeah. So.
I'm laughing because he's not really. You know that, right?
All right, let's get serious. Really let's get serious here, David. Let's get serious. So, we've beat Douglas up enough here. Maybe not.
Yeah, I guess we should go easy on him.
I'll tell you,
we are being a bit harsh.
I'll tell you what, on Peter Weller, I joke with with Douglas a lot about this. Peter Weller, this guy, like, you could probably just call him anytime, 5 minutes before the show. Hey, Peter, can you be on the show? Yep, I'll talk about whatever you want me to talk about. The guy knows he's done everything. Jazz musician, author, actor, writer, director. He's done everything.
Yeah, he really has. And again, the person who impersonates him when he calls, he's really created this amazing story. A lot of the facts, I think, we did some fact checking, and they're completely off base. That person in the room that seems to know a little bit about everything, and then you start realizing that, wow, he is completely wrong about this stuff.
Right.
So I think for our 15 listeners, it's probably pretty entertaining. Yeah.
They enjoy it. Had an interesting thing happen last week. Had a listener who missed a portion of the interview with Gianni Russo and asked if I could send her a MP3 copy of the show. So I did. It's the first time that anybody has ever mentioned that they've listened to the show over the last 4 years or so since we've been airing it. And I actually sent her a copy of the show. So that was at least one person listens, and that makes us happy.
That's terrific. I'm so glad my sister followed through in that request and did that. I'm glad that worked out.
All right, tonight and tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, David Cohen, the long-suffering David Cohen, and Douglas Viviani with Everything Old is New Again, Part 2 with Gianni Russo. Is there a Part 3, or do you wrap it up tonight? Or will there be?
My fear is that if there is a Part 3, Jim, I'm not going to be around to hear about it.
Be around. Okay. David, do you want to give me some? Do you want to give me some personal information, or send me a letter? In the case of your death, I can open it, and there'll be some revealing facts in there.
That's a great idea. Yes, I will absolutely do that.
All right.
Let me do that right now.
All right.
Quickly.
You
never know.
Hang on the line.
I'll get that out to you as soon as we hang out.
All right. Hang on the line, and I'll give you my address. Okay. Just hold on. All right. That's it this week with David Cohen. Filling in for. See, don't even know what the hell your name is. Sorry about that, Steve. I didn't mean to do that to you. Anyway, David Cohen with Douglas Viviani tonight at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Everything Old is New Again.